Thank you so very much. Good afternoon and welcome to so many of our partners who made this transformational announcement a reality. The most recent devastating events in 2011, 2016, and 2018 demonstrated to all of us that Ellicott City needed a plan that would be truly protect it for future generations. When I became Howard County Executive a few months after the recent deadly flood, I told our team that we needed a comprehensive solution that was backed by science and backed by our community. We developed our Ellicott City Safe and Sound Plan, a holistic set of initiatives that includes water conveyance projects, water retention areas, warning systems, stream maintenance, and other community supports. Today, we are here to announce that one of our projects is substantially complete, the H7 pond. This pond where we are standing is the largest flood mitigation facility of its kind ever constructed in Howard County. This pond is designed to hold over 4 million gallons of water and to keep the water away from the residents and businesses and visitors of Ellicott City during severe weather events. Now, how much water is that? It's enough to cover an entire football field the height of 10 feet. And as part of this project, we also planted 110 trees and 1,800 native plants. And while there is still some minor landscaping and grading that is needed, we are cutting a ribbon here today because this structure is complete and now functions as intended. Many of us were here in August of 2021 to break ground on this facility, and we said then that construction could take approximately 16 months if everything went according to plan. As we all know, things rarely go according to plan. The team ran into multiple obstacles along the way that pushed our completion timeline closer to 18 months. Knowing how critically important it is to get all of our flood mitigation projects done as quickly as possible, our hardworking team at the Department of Public Works worked with our contractors to restructure the project schedule to allow multiple crews to work concurrently. This strategy paid off, and despite the challenges, the H7 pond was finished 4 months earlier than anticipated. I'd like to thank our DPW team, HTI contractors, Century Engineering for your partnership in moving this project along as quickly as possible. The retention pond is just one of 7 major water conveyance and retention projects that make up our Ellicott City Safe and Sound Plan. The Quaker Mill Pond, just 2 miles down the road, is expected to be complete early next year. We have completed 65% of the design on the North Tunnel and are nearing completion of 90% design. The H4 pond and the Maryland Avenue culvert continue to go through necessary permitting processes, which we hope to wrap up next year. And in the most recent session of the General Assembly, we were able to secure enough funding for the T1 project to move forward with the design. I'd like to personally and publicly thank Senate President Bill Ferguson, Senator Katie Fry Hester, Delegate Courtney Watson, and our entire state delegation for their support of our Ellicott City projects. Please give them a big round of applause. Their incredibly hard work in Annapolis has allowed us to secure over $40 million in state funding for Ellicott City projects over the last 4 years, for a total of nearly $170 million in federal, state, and local funding. That amount compares to approximately $30 million for Ellicott City in the previous 4 years. I'd also like to thank our partners from the Governor's Administration who are here with us today, as well as our federal partners who are represented today. Thank you. Their partnership has been critical to the success of this project, especially considering that the pond is actually located on state land. The H7 pond is a perfect example of what can be achieved when all levels of government come together toward a common goal. These efforts are costly, but they are necessary to save lives and protect a community that is our county's second largest economic driver. I'd also like to publicly thank Shana Hernandez. Shana has worked incredibly hard on numerous policy issues, but particularly on Ellicott City, working with our partners, moving things forward, and she really deserves another huge round of applause. Thank you, Shana. Our bold action on stormwater management and protection is one of the reasons that Howard County was recently received the designation as a LEED Platinum community, the first county in the nation to receive that distinction under the current version of the U.S. Green Building Council's Cities and Communities program. And while we can never completely eliminate the risk of flooding, we can deploy technology and teamwork to reduce the toll of these devastating storms. This year, Ellicott City is celebrating its 250th anniversary, a meaningful milestone for this cherished historic town. When we cut this ribbon today, we will continue to write a new, bright chapter in the story of Ellicott City, offering protection never seen before and ensuring its vibrancy for another 250 years and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shana, and thank you, County Executive, for really telling the right story here. I am so incredibly honored to be here in this moment. And at first I was joking when I saw this on the calendar. Are we cutting the ribbon on a big hole? Is that what's happening here? And the answer is yes. Why? This was a known problem. We knew in 2011 that there was an emerging issue. We knew after the devastating floods in 2016 just how bad it could be, and then yet again in 2018. I will never ever forget the moment seeing the devastation days and weeks after the initial waters hit through historic Main Street, walking into buildings and seeing just trusses over top of the storm drains that had nearly blown up the buildings from the inside with water. This was an unbelievably powerful experience that happened multiple times. And yet, I want to reiterate, it happened multiple times. So, how do you solve a problem like that? Well, you got to work together. Fundamentally, what it looks like to solve real problems in the state of Maryland, making sure that Ellicott City is safe from climate change, making sure that we don't face the same type of disaster that we've seen across this entire country because of the changing climate, is you got to get people around a table, you got to make a plan, and you got to get money, and then get it done. That's what we're celebrating here today, and it is the incredible leadership of the county executive, this incredible delegation, Delegate Courtney Watson, my incredible colleague in the Senate, Senator Katie Fry-Hester, other partners like Senator Guy Gazzoni, who chairs our Budget and Taxation Committee, and Senator Clarence Lamb in Howard County, who sat at a table and said, this must get done. Infrastructure often isn't sexy, right? It's something that's under the ground. People just don't want it to flood. And so while this might be, as people drive around the underpass, they see a hole in the ground with some concrete, what they may not realize is this investment, the $47 million of state money that's being matched with the millions and millions of dollars of local money and nearly $1 billion, up to $1 billion of federal money, is that this hole in the ground that was purposely designed and built will save people's lives, because that's what government does. So I just want to thank the county executive for his leadership, thank my colleagues. I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to be here today to celebrate this moment. This is what progress looks like when people roll up their sleeves and decide we can solve problems again. Thank you all very much.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having us here today. It's incredible to reflect back on just a year ago when we first broke ground on this retention pond. I'd like to thank the county executive and all the county employees for their hard work bringing the entire Ellicott City Safe and Sound plan to life. And I want to thank my colleagues in the Senate and the House for their leadership in funding this project. After the 2018 flood, this was our second 1,000-year flood in 2 years. Our community came together to donate food and supplies and to muck out the basements of stores and houses. Fast forward to 2022. We had a flood warning earlier this summer, but everything worked as planned. The storm passed, and we could see that the hard work and the systems that have been put in place were working, and we're not done yet. Today, as we cut the ribbon on the H7 flood mitigation pond, a critical component of the Ellicott City Safe and Sound Plan, I'm reminded of two things. First, this is truly a uniquely resilient town, full of resilient people. And when we put our heads together, we can get great stuff done. Second, this isn't your average infrastructure project. It's part of a comprehensive solution to climate change, which others are now looking to Ellicott City for leadership on. The flooding here in Ellicott City is unique and also not unique. We are a coastal state split by the Chesapeake Bay and its countless tributaries. Flooding impacts every single jurisdiction in the state of Maryland. Fixing these issues requires planning, coordination, accountability, and of course funding. After 3 years of hard work, Delegate Watson and myself were able to establish not one, but two mechanisms within the Department of Emergency Management to help us achieve these goals. And these are for the state as a whole. The first is our Resilient Maryland Revolving Loan Fund. This fund started with $25 million of state capital funding, and we can leverage the Federal Storm Act to enable it eventually to reach $1 billion worth of funding for resilience projects just like this. Here's how it works. You take the Maryland Revolving Loan Fund, and it can be matched 9-to-1 with the Federal Storm Act. Then, when Maryland counties apply to the Revolving Loan Fund, they can receive a grant from the Building Infrastructure and Resilient Communities Grant Fund for a federal 3-to-1 match. So, for example, if a jurisdiction or a county like Ellicott City wants to take out a $10 million loan through the Revolving Loan Fund, $9 million of this would have come from the federal storm funding. The county could then use this $10 million funding as collateral for a $30 million BRIC grant application and complete a $40 million local project with only a small loan repaid to the state over time. And every jurisdiction across the state of Maryland will have the ability to do the same. Second, working with Delegate Watson, we established the Office of Resilience and a Chief Resilience Officer within the Maryland Department of Emergency Management to help coordinate state and local resilience projects, develop a long-term strategic plan to mitigate flood risk, identify additional funding opportunities, and engage business leaders and our most vulnerable communities to protect lives and livelihoods. This legislation just went into effect on October 1st, and I'm looking forward to see what they do next. Between the people and the staff in the Office of Resilience, the available capital resources from the Revolving Loan Fund, and this award-winning Safe and Sound project here in Ellicott City, the state of Maryland is leading nationally on flood resilience strategy and infrastructure. In closing, this year we're celebrating Ellicott City's 250th birthday. This city is the birthplace of many things: the first railroad, the first national road, the first state park. Now we're a model for national climate resilience, the first time a mill town has invested to be a natural model for others to follow, and it will be so for the next 250 years. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I want to make sure that we introduce the chair of the Ellicott City Partnership Board, Maria Martinez, who's joined us today. Thank you for being here. I echo what everyone has said so far, but I want to drive home the point that this fund, the Maryland Resilient Loan Fund, that Senator Hester spearheaded, is the first in the nation. It's the first in the nation. And the policies that she talked about are basically setting the stage for the rest of the country in terms of helping counties and cities and individual local jurisdictions deal with climate change and resiliency. Senator Hester and I have been asked to be on various resiliency councils across the country to help them develop the same kinds of policies. So what happened here in Ellicott City is really serving as a model, certainly for the rest of the state of Maryland. And our colleagues in the House and Senate and their jurisdictions will benefit from what we've done, but also across the country. And a big thanks also goes to Speaker Adrienne Jones, who came and toured the town with me in 2019 and committed her resources and her leverage and her bully pulpit to help us get the funding for the projects that we're talking about. Finally, I want to make sure we thank the Public Works Department. I see several gentlemen way in the back that have been very helpful throughout this whole process. And Dr. Ball talked about partnership. It is partnership from the governor's office all the way down through the public works administrators. So we thank all of you for your help and really helping keep our citizens safe, because that's what this is about. Our citizens should sleep better at night tonight, knowing that this project is finished. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Jillian Joseph. I'm Executive Director of the Ellicott City Partnership, and I am joined today by our Board President, Maria Martinez. And Maria and I are so pleased about the progress being made on the Safe and Sound Plan. The H7 flood mitigation pond is a critical piece toward ensuring that Ellicott City's history and the historic and wonderful businesses and the Main Street residences stay safe during a severe weather event. And we are certainly grateful to our partners here today for making this a reality. This also shows that when everyone works together, great things can be achieved. We love OEC, and we can't wait to continue to see the positive impact that the Safe and Sound projects have on our community. Thank you all.